In the vast emptiness of the Pegasus Arm, the research vessel Horizon drifted silently through the stellar debris field. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the massive structure floating before them. After 15 years of deep space exploration, they had finally found something that defied explanation. "Are you seeing these readings?" Dr. Chen's voice carried a mix of excitement and disbelief as she studied the holographic display. "The structure's energy signature doesn't match anything in our database." Commander David Nash moved to her side, his weathered face reflecting the soft blue glow of the alien artifact. At 53, he had spent more time in deep space than planetside, but nothing in his experience prepared him for this. The artifact's at least 50,000 years old, but those energy readings suggest it's still active. The structure itself defied conventional geometry. A twisted spire of dark metal that seemed to bend light around its surface, stretching nearly 3 kilometers from end to end. As the Horizon's sensors probed its surface, patterns of soft light pulsed along its length, responding to their scans. "It's definitely of predecessor origin," Dr. Chen continued, referring to the mysterious species whose ruins dotted the galaxy. "But unlike anything we've found before, this isn't just another abandoned outpost. It's still functioning." The bridge crew worked in focused silence, each member aware of the historical significance of their discovery. Humanity had spent centuries wondering if they were alone in the universe. The discovery of predecessor ruins 20 years ago had answered that question, but raised countless others. Now, for the first time, they had found something that might provide real answers. "Dr. Chen," called out Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez from her sensor station, "I'm detecting changes in the artifact's energy signature. It's responding to us." Before anyone could react, a beam of azure light shot from the structure, enveloping the Horizon in a soft glow. Instead of panic, the bridge crew maintained their composure, their years of training kicking in automatically. "All systems nominal," reported Chief Engineer Marcus Wong. "Whatever that beam is, it's not causing any damage. It appears to be scanning us." Commander Nash opened his mouth to issue orders, but stopped as new holographic displays spontaneously materialized around the bridge. Streams of unknown symbols cascaded through the air, forming complex patterns that shifted and changed with dizzying speed. "It's some kind of data transfer," Dr. Chen breathed, her fingers dancing across her console. "The artifact is downloading information directly into our systems. This is incredible. It's not just data, it's knowledge. Technical specifications, star charts, historical records." The excitement on the bridge was palpable, but Commander Nash felt a chill run down his spine. 20 years of space exploration had taught him one thing: nothing came without a price. How much longer until the download is complete? "At current rates, another 3 minutes," Dr. Chen replied, not taking her eyes off the streaming data. "Commander, this is everything we've ever wanted to know about the predecessors. Their technology, their history, their—" Her voice trailed off as her face went pale. "Oh no. What is it?" Nash demanded, moving to her station. "This isn't just historical data," she whispered. "It's a warning. The predecessors, they weren't alone. There's something out there, something they were running from." The azure beam suddenly cut off, leaving the bridge in relative darkness. For a moment, there was complete silence, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's systems. "Multiple contacts," Lieutenant Rodriguez shouted, massive energy signatures appearing at the edge of the system. "Configuration unknown, but they're big, really big." Commander Nash's training took over. "Battle stations. Bring up tactical display." The holographic display showed 5 massive vessels emerging from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. Each ship was easily 20 times the size of the Horizon, their hulls covered in patterns of light that mimicked the artifact's surface. "This is the collective vessel arbitrator," a voice boomed through the ship's communication system, speaking perfect English. "You have accessed restricted knowledge. Prepare for immediate boarding and memory extraction. Resistance will result in termination. Commander Nash's jaw tightened. The Horizon was a research vessel, practically defenseless against a single warship, let alone 5. But they couldn't let this knowledge fall into the wrong hands. Dr. Chen, initiate data encryption protocols. Lieutenant Rodriguez, prepare to transmit everything we've learned back to Earth. Mr. Wong, get the quantum entanglement communicator online. Sir, Rodriguez's voice shook slightly. They're powering up weapons. Nash took a deep breath. This is Commander David Nash of the Earth research vessel Horizon. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration. We mean no harm. Your intentions are irrelevant, the alien voice replied. You have accessed knowledge forbidden to primitive species. The consequences are non-negotiable. The massive ships moved with impossible grace for their size, forming a pentagon around the horizon. Energy readings from their weapons systems climbed to terrifying levels. Data encryption complete, Dr. Chen reported. QEC is online. Nash nodded grimly. Send the message. All hands, prepare for emergency protocols. As the data stream began its instantaneous journey to Earth through quantum entanglement, Nash couldn't help but wonder if they had just changed the course of human history. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries. But not like this. Not as a death sentence for curiosity. Message sent, Rodriguez confirmed. Sir, they're charging weapons. Nash straightened in his chair. This is Commander Nash. Last log entry. We have encountered an advanced alien civilization calling themselves the Collective. They appear hostile to technological advancement by other species. All data has been transmitted to Earth. To anyone who finds this, we knew the risks of deep space exploration. We accepted them in the name of knowledge. May humanity learn from what we've discovered here today. The massive alien ships opened fire, their weapons turning space itself into a maelstrom of energy. As the Horizon's hull began to break apart, Dr. Chen turned to Nash, a sad smile on her face. At least we found what we were looking for. Nash nodded. That we did, Sarah. That we did. The Horizon exploded in a brilliant flash of light, but its message had already reached Earth. Humanity's age of innocence was over. The galaxy had noticed them, and it wasn't friendly. In the debris field that had once been the Horizon, the alien ships maintained their formation. Primitive species terminated, the arbitrator reported. Knowledge contained, but they were wrong. The knowledge wasn't contained. It was already spreading across human space, carried by quantum entanglement. And with it traveled humanity's first warning that they weren't alone, and that the universe was far more dangerous than they had imagined. The price of first contact had been paid in full, but it was only the beginning. 3 months after the Horizon's destruction, Fleet Admiral Elena Santos stood in Earth's most secure military facility, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean. The massive holographic display before her showed the last moments of the Horizon, playing on an endless loop. She had watched it thousands of times, studying every detail of the alien ships that had so casually destroyed a human research vessel. The Collective made one critical mistake. Santos addressed the gathered military leadership. They assumed we were primitive because we showed them an unarmed research vessel. They never asked why we were exploring so far from Earth with quantum entanglement communicators. The chamber was silent as the hologram shifted, revealing a vast underground shipyard stretching for kilometers through the ocean floor. Dozens of ships hung in massive construction bays, their dark hulls absorbing light in impossible ways. Project Shadowfall wasn't created because we feared aliens, Santos continued. It was created because we knew they were coming. 20 years of studying predecessor ruins taught us one thing. There's always a bigger fish. We just didn't know what it looked like until now. The first prototype vessel, the ESS Nightshade, hung in the center bay. Unlike the bulky utilitarian designs of public military ships, it was sleek and predatory. Its hull was covered in patterns that seemed to shift and flow, making it hard to focus on any single part of the ship. The collective showed us their capabilities when they destroyed the horizon. Santos gestured to technical readouts floating beside the ship. Their weapons, their FTL technology, their energy signatures, everything. They thought they were executing primitives. Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed to counter them. Admiral Chen, Sarah Chen's father, stepped forward. His face had aged decades in the past 3 months. The Nightshade class incorporates everything we learned from the predecessor data and the collective's attack. Quantum phase shields, dark energy weapons, and most importantly, true stealth capabilities. They won't see us coming. We've confirmed 15 collective vessels entering human space in the past week, Santos continued. They're searching for something, probably making sure they contain the knowledge from the artifact. 3 ships are approaching Alpha Centauri colony now. The room tensed. Alpha Centauri was humanity's first extrasolar colony, home to 12 million people. On paper, it was defended by conventional warships that would be useless against collective technology. The Nightshade is ready, Admiral Chen reported. 5 more will be operational within 2 weeks. The question is, do we reveal ourselves now, or wait until we have more ships? Santos studied the tactical display. The collective vessels were massive, arrogant in their superiority. They hadn't even bothered to conceal their approach. They killed my people, she said quietly. They killed your daughter, Admiral Chen. And they did it because they thought we were beneath their notice. I think it's time we taught them the price of underestimating humanity. The next day, 3 collective warships entered orbit around Alpha Centauri's main colony. Their massive forms cast shadows over the cities below, a deliberate show of force. Primitive human settlement. The familiar voice of the arbitrator boomed across all frequencies. You have been found in possession of restricted technological knowledge. Submit to immediate memory extraction procedures. Resistance will result in planetary sterilization. The colony's governor, Marcus Zhang, responded with remarkable calm. We are a peaceful settlement. We have no military capabilities that could threaten you. Please allow us to discuss this diplomatically. Diplomacy is not offered to primitive species, the arbitrator replied. You have 30 minutes to submit before sterilization begins. In the void behind the collective ships, space itself seemed to ripple. The ESS Nightshade emerged from perfect stealth, its hull drinking in starlight. Before the collective vessels could react, strips of darkness spread across their hulls, clouds of quantum-locked particles that prevented their shields from forming. This is Admiral Elena Santos of the Earth Strategic Fleet. Her voice was cold as space itself. You murdered the crew of the Horizon. You threatened our colony. And worst of all, you assumed we were primitive because we chose to explore peacefully. That was a mistake. The Nightshade's weapons were unlike anything the collective had seen before. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, they fired streams of accelerated dark matter that simply ignored conventional defenses. The first collective vessel split in half, its mighty hull torn apart by forces it couldn't resist. Impossible. The arbitrator's voice had lost its condescending tone. Your species is not capable of this level of technology. You gave us everything we needed, Santos replied. The Horizon's quantum entanglement transmitter caught every detail of your ships. And unlike you, we don't believe in restricting knowledge. We learn. We adapt. We evolve. The remaining collective ships tried to flee, their massive engines flaring. The Nightshade moved like a predator, cutting off their escape with impossible maneuvers. Its dark matter weapons struck again and again, systematically disabling the alien vessels. This is your only warning, Santos broadcast on all frequencies. Humanity is not primitive. We are not helpless. And we do not take kindly to threats against our people. Leave our space immediately, or learn firsthand what happens when you push humanity too far. The disabled collective ships hung in space, their mighty weapons useless against technology they hadn't known was possible. As rescue ships approached, Santos sent one final message. Oh, and arbitrator. The Nightshade is just our prototype. You might want to consider that before you threaten another human settlement. The battle for Alpha Centauri lasted less than 10 minutes. As news spread across human space, celebrations erupted on every world and station. Humanity had faced its first true extraterrestrial threat and emerged victorious. But in her command chair, Santos felt no joy. This was just the beginning. The collective wouldn't take this humiliation lightly. They would return in force, desperate to contain the species that had dared to surpass them. All ships, she broadcast to the growing fleet of Nightshade-class vessels emerging from their hidden shipyards. This is not a time for celebration. This is a time for preparation. The real war hasn't even started yet. In the void of space, the Nightshade's hull shifted and rippled before vanishing completely from sight. The age of human innocence was over. The age of human power had begun. Deep within the secure data vaults of Luna Base, Dr. Maya Patel worked through another sleepless night, her eyes burning as she decoded more of the predecessor data from the horizon. 3 months of continuous analysis had revealed a truth more terrifying than anyone had imagined. Admiral Santos, she called through the quantum link. I found something. Something that changes everything. The Admiral's hologram materialized in the lab, her expression grave. What is it, Doctor? The collective. Maya's hand shook as she brought up the translated data. They're not the original enforcers of this technological hierarchy. They're usurpers. The predecessors built the artifacts as a test, a way to identify species worthy of inheriting their legacy. The collective found one, stole its knowledge, and then declared themselves the gatekeepers of advanced technology. Santos' eyes narrowed. They're frauds. Worse, Maya projected a complex star map. They're parasites. They don't develop new technology. They steal it. When they find a species advancing too quickly, they destroy them and take whatever innovations they've created. They've been doing this for thousands of years, stunting the galaxy's natural development. The Admiral was silent for a long moment, and the predecessors didn't die out. Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. They left. The data suggests they found something. Another plane of existence, perhaps. But before they departed, they left these artifacts as a test. Any species advanced enough to find them, decode them, and handle the responsibility of their knowledge would be worthy of becoming the galaxy's new guardians. And instead, the collective appointed themselves as jailers. Santos finished, using stolen technology to keep other species from advancing. How many civilizations have they destroyed? Hundreds. Maya's voice cracked. But here's the important part. Humanity is different. We're the first species to successfully transmit and decode the full artifact data before the collective could stop us. And we did something they never expected. What's that? We shared it. The collective hoards knowledge, keeps it concentrated in their ruling class. But the moment we got the data, we spread it across every human world and colony. We've got thousands of scientists working on it, sharing discoveries, building on each other's work. We're advancing faster than they can adapt. A new alert flashed across the displays. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared, his expression urgent. Elena, we've got massive collective fleet movements, hundreds of ships heading toward human space. But there's something else. We're picking up transmissions from within their territory. Other species are rising up. Santos's eyes widened. They know. The other species under collective rule. They've learned the truth. Maya nodded. When we broadcast the predecessor data across our networks, some of it leaked into general subspace channels. The subjugated species have been watching us fight back. They've seen that the collective can be beaten. How long until their fleet arrives? Santos asked Chen. 6 days. They're bringing everything they have. At least 1,000 capital ships. Santos' hologram smiled grimly. Good. Maya, send everything you found to Fleet Command. It's time for Phase 2. 3 days later, representatives from 20 formerly subjugated species gathered in a secure virtual conference hosted through human quantum networks. Their appearances varied wildly. Some were energy beings, others had bodies that seemed to defy physics, but they all shared the same look of desperate hope. "The collective lied to all of us," Santos addressed the gathering. "They aren't the guardians of advanced technology. They're thieves who've been stealing it for generations. Humanity offers you a choice. Stand with us, share knowledge freely, and help us build a galaxy where advancement is celebrated, not feared. Or stay neutral, and let us handle this alone." The alien representatives spoke among themselves, their translated voices overlapping. Finally, a crystalline being identified as the speaker for the Lumini stepped forward. "The collective has oppressed us for millennia." The speaker's voice chimed like bells. "We have watched your species do in months what we feared to do in centuries. You not only fought back, you shared the very knowledge they killed to contain. We stand with humanity." One by one, the other representatives voiced their support. With each declaration, tactical data flowed through the quantum networks. Hidden resistance movements, defensive weaknesses, coded communications channels. The subjugated species had been preparing for this moment for generations. In her command chair aboard the now completed ESS Prometheus, humanity's first super-dreadnought, Santos watched as the tactical display filled with new allies. The collective's punishment fleet would arrive expecting to find one upstart species. Instead, they would face a united galaxy tired of living under their tyranny. "All ships, all allies," she broadcast. "The collective built their power on stolen technology and borrowed authority. They think knowledge should be hoarded, controlled, restricted. Humanity believes knowledge should be free, shared, built upon. In 3 days, we're going to show them which philosophy is stronger." The Prometheus's hull thrummed as its dark matter core powered up. Across human space, shipyards that had been hidden for decades revealed themselves, releasing vessels that incorporated both predecessor knowledge and human innovation. Unlike the collective's stolen technology, these ships had been built with true understanding, improved upon by thousands of minds working together. "Maya," Santos called through the quantum link. "Have you finished decoding the artifact's final message?" "Yes." The scientist's voice was filled with wonder. "Its coordinates. The predecessors. They left a way to follow them. Once we prove ourselves worthy by defeating the collective, we can find them." Santos looked out at the fleet gathering around the Prometheus. Human ships flew in formation with vessels crewed by beings that would have been dismissed as science fiction mere months ago, all united by a simple belief that knowledge was meant to be shared, not hoarded. "The collective thinks they're coming to punish us for learning too much," she said quietly. "Instead, they're about to learn what happens when you try to cage the galaxy's curiosity. All ships, prepare for battle stations. The real war for knowledge begins now." The combined fleet waited in the darkness between stars. 500 human vessels, their dark matter cores pulsing with contained power, flew in formation with ships from 24 liberated species. Admiral Santos stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching the tactical display as the massive collective armada approached through hyperspace. "They're still following the exact course we predicted," reported Captain Yuki Tanaka, her hands dancing across the quantum-linked controls. "They have no idea we've broken their encryption." "The arrogance of thieves," added Ambassador Zenthor of the silicon-based Litharians. His crystalline form sparkled under the bridge lights. "They never bothered to improve the security protocols they stole from our ancestors." Santos nodded grimly. The collective's punitive fleet was larger than anything seen in the galaxy for millennia. Over 1,000 capital ships, each carrying enough firepower to sterilize a planet. But they were using stolen technology they didn't fully understand, while the Allied fleet had something more powerful: innovation. "All ships," Santos broadcast across the quantum network. "Execute Operation Lightbringer." Across the fleet, revolutionary human technology merged with the unique capabilities of their alien allies. Litharian crystal matrices amplified the dark matter cores. Lumini energy beings merged with ship systems, enhancing their quantum fields. Every species contributed something unique, their combined knowledge creating something entirely new. The collective fleet burst from hyperspace in perfect attack formation, their massive ships bristling with weapons. For a moment, there was silence across all frequencies as they registered the size of the alliance arrayed against them. Impossible, the arbitrator's voice boomed. These lesser species dare to unite against us. We are the guardians of order. No, Santos replied calmly. You're thieves who've been exposed. Those species you called lesser. They're about to show you what real innovation looks like. The battle began with a demonstration of exactly why the collective had been so afraid of unrestricted technological advancement. The Allied fleet didn't just fight. They rewrote the rules of space combat with every passing moment. Humanity's dark matter weapons combined with Litharian crystal tech to create beams that phased through collective shields like they didn't exist. Lumini energy beings transformed entire squadrons of ships into living weapons, their consciousness spread across multiple vessels simultaneously. Former slave species turned their intimate knowledge of collective technology against their oppressors. But the real power wasn't in the individual technologies. It was in how quickly the Allies adapted and combined them. Ideas flowed freely across the quantum network, improvements and innovations happening in real time. While the collective fought with rigid, stolen tactics, the Alliance evolved their strategies with every passing minute. Their coordination is failing, Tanaka reported, watching the collective fleet's formation begin to break apart. They're not used to fighting enemies who can actually fight back. The arbitrator's increasingly desperate broadcasts showed the collective's true nature. Gone was the facade of benevolent guardians, replaced by raw fury at being challenged. You primitives exist to serve. Knowledge must be controlled. We will burn every world that has touched this corruption. Listen to them, Santos broadcast through all ships. Listen to how quickly they abandon their claims of protection and reveal their true nature. They never wanted to guard knowledge. They wanted to control it, to own it, and that's why they'll lose. The Prometheus led a spearhead formation straight into the heart of the collective fleet. Its hybrid technology, combining innovations from a dozen species, cut through their defenses like paper. Ship after ship fell, not to superior firepower, but to superior understanding. Admiral, Maya's voice came through the quantum link. We're detecting massive energy buildups in the surviving collective ships. They're activating their cores for self-destruction. If they detonate, the combined blast will sterilize this entire sector. Santos' jaw tightened. This was it, the ultimate expression of the collective's philosophy. If they couldn't control knowledge, they would destroy it, along with everyone who had dared to share it freely. All ships activate the Damascus Protocol, she ordered. Across the Allied fleet, a new technology activated, one born from the combined research of human quantum physicists and Lumini energy manipulators. Waves of specialized particles washed over the collective ships, forcing their artificial quantum states to collapse into single configurations. The collective cores went dark. Their mighty ships, built from stolen technology they never truly understood, drifted powerless in space. What have you done? The arbitrator's voice shook with disbelief. We understood the technology you stole better than you did, Santos replied. Because we studied it, improved it, shared it. While you were hoarding knowledge, we were building on it. That's the power of free innovation. The remaining collective ships surrendered one by one. As Allied vessels moved in to secure them, Santos received a priority message from Earth. The uprising had spread across collective space. Their entire empire, built on stolen technology and oppression, was collapsing in a single day. But amid the celebration, Santos felt a weight settle onto her shoulders. Humanity and its allies had won not through superior firepower, but through superior philosophy. They had proven that sharing knowledge freely, allowing it to grow and evolve, was more powerful than hoarding it. All ships, she broadcast. The fighting is over, but our real work is just beginning. The predecessors left us their knowledge as a test, not to see if we could defeat the collective, but to see if we could build something better in their place. The quantum network hummed with messages of agreement from every species in the Alliance. They had tasted freedom, not just political freedom, but the freedom to learn, to innovate, to share ideas without fear. The age of the collective was over. The age of shared knowledge had begun, and somewhere out there, the predecessors were waiting to see what their chosen successors would build with that freedom. 1 year after the Battle of the Void, representatives from 300 species gathered in Earth's orbital assembly. The massive station, built with combined technology from dozens of civilizations, housed the first true galactic council, not an empire of conquest like the collective, but a forum for sharing knowledge and ensuring it would never be caged again. Admiral Santos, now executive director of the Council's Innovation Exchange, stood before the assembled delegates. Behind her, a holographic display showed the coordinates decoded from the predecessor artifact, a path to whatever dimension or plane of existence humanity's ancient predecessors had discovered. "We stand at a crossroads," she addressed the gathering. "The predecessors left us more than just technology. They left us a choice. We can follow their path, seek them out in whatever realm they now inhabit, or we can stay here and build something new with the knowledge they entrusted to us." Dr. Maya Patel stepped forward, her research team now including scientists from 50 different species. The collective's fall revealed something none of us expected. Every species has unique insights, different ways of viewing the universe. When we combine these perspectives, we don't just add knowledge, we multiply it. The holographic display shifted, showing the unprecedented advances of the past year. Dark matter technology merged with crystalline computing. Biological innovation combined with quantum physics. Each discovery built on the ones before it, growing exponentially as more minds contributed to the collective understanding. The predecessors didn't leave because they had reached the limits of this universe, Maya continued. They left because they chose a different path. But in doing so, they gave us an opportunity to choose our own. Ambassador Zenthor's crystalline form resonated with agreement. The collective feared advancement because they never truly understood what they stole. We have something they never did. True comprehension born from shared discovery. From her position at the podium, Santos looked out at the assembled species. Energy beings floated alongside silicon-based life forms. Creatures of pure thought communed with beings of solid matter. Each had contributed something unique to their shared knowledge. "I propose," she said, "that we decline the predecessor's invitation. For now. They showed us one path to advancement, but we've discovered another. Together, we can build something they never imagined. A civilization where knowledge flows freely between all forms of life." The chamber erupted in discussion, quantum translators working overtime to handle the overlapping conversations. Finally, a consensus emerged. They would stay, build, learn, and grow together. "There is one final matter," Santos continued. "The former collective leadership awaits judgment. Their crimes against civilization spanned thousands of years. The easy path would be to exact revenge, to make them suffer as they made others suffer." The chamber grew quiet. The wounds of collective oppression were still fresh for many species, but humanity had learned something important in its journey from curious explorers to galactic leaders. The price of knowledge included the wisdom to use it properly. "I propose something different," Santos said. "Not forgiveness. They must face justice for their crimes. But instead of punishment, education. We'll teach them what they refuse to learn. The true power of shared knowledge. Let them see firsthand what they fought so hard to prevent." The decision was unanimous. The former collective leaders would spend their lives learning, contributing to the very system they had tried to suppress. It was a uniquely human form of justice, rehabilitation through understanding. As the council session ended, Santos found herself back on the Prometheus's observation deck, staring out at the endless stars. Dr. Chen's daughter had died seeking knowledge, but her sacrifice had led to something greater than anyone could have imagined. Admiral, Maya joined her at the window. The latest breakthrough from the combined research teams. We've discovered principles that the predecessors never conceived of. By combining perspectives from different species, we're not just following their path, we're creating new ones. Santos smiled. That's the real price of curiosity, isn't it? Not just the courage to seek knowledge, but the wisdom to share it. The strength to let it grow beyond your control. The Prometheus's dark matter core hummed softly, a sound now echoed by ships across the galaxy. Humanity had paid the price of curiosity with the crew of the Horizon. But that sacrifice had freed not just one species, but an entire galaxy. Send word to the research teams, Santos said. The predecessors showed us one way to transcend our current existence. Let's see if together we can find others. In the vast chamber of space, ships of all shapes and sizes moved in harmonious patterns, their crews linked by more than just technology. They were connected by the most powerful force in the universe, the free exchange of ideas. The price of curiosity had been high, but its rewards were beyond measure. Humanity had found its place not as conquerors or guardians, but as catalysts, the species that dared to share knowledge freely and inspired others to do the same. The age of secrets was over. The age of shared discovery had begun. And somewhere, perhaps in another dimension of reality, the predecessors watched with approval as their heirs built something even they had never imagined. A civilization where the only price for knowledge was the obligation to share it. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly as it should be.